Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Steven O, and yes, we are back with another Batman 66 episode review. Today we'll be reviewing the episode Comeback Shame, which will be the debut of the notorious Wild West villain, Shame. So without further ado, let's get into the review. We begin this episode at a car race where, when the racer stops at his pit stop, he is held at gunpoint by people dressed in cowboy uniforms. They then steal his race car and leave behind a platinum bullet. One man already suspects who it is because only one man is known for using a platinum bullet. We then cut to police commissioner at headquarters where it's revealed that the perpetrator was Shame. And yet we're introduced to, just like Marsha, another villain that everyone knows except us. They then call up Batman, we do the usual opening credits, and then they are back at police headquarters where it's revealed that Shame has stolen several cars, but has only stole certain items from it and has abandoned the whole car. Batman then takes the bullet back to the Batcave to analyze. We then cut to an old movie studio known as Westonland, which is revealed to be Shame's hideout. Here we meet the rest of his gang. Now I gotta admit it, this gang is pretty kinda lame. There's really very little color to them. And essentially it's revealed that he's stealing parts to cars to build up his own supercar to outrace the Batmobile for a big caper. And just as this is happening, they hear someone coming and hide behind the saloon. It's revealed to be a little kid dressed up in the cowboy costume. Batman and Robin realize that there's no lead but the bullet and realize there's nowhere else to go. They realize that Shame is no doubt stealing parts to build a car. So they call DJ Hot Rod Harry to promote, whilst as Bruce Wayne, to promote a new part to his car, and hoping that Shame would somehow listen to the broadcast and hijack the car, which he does. But he ends up stealing the kid's radio. The kid's name's Andy, by the way. Steals his radio and goes to hijack the limousine, in which the kid yells, "Come back, Shame." Just as Bruce and Dick essentially are out on the town, Okie Annie comes in as bait to trick him into taking her to her place, and just as they do, they are then hijacked at gunpoint by Shame. Now how this happened is, first of all, there's a cow that was placed in front of the road. They get out of the limousine and try to move the cow, but are held at gunpoint by Shame. They steal the limousine and drive away. It is then revealed that the Batmobile the Bat-Cycle has secretly been following them by remote control. And it also has Alfred's cycle. They then put the Alf cycle together, and he rides that away, and they get in the Bat cycle and drive to the Batcave to quickly change their uniform and track the limousine, which has a radio beacon. Just as that, we then cut to Shame at his headquarters and has finally built the car together, where Batman and Robin appear. It's not risking to have a gun battle, it's thinking that it will destroy the car. A bat fight breaks out in a saloon. This is a western after all, and it looks like Batman are victorious, but they are then knocked out when Okiani uses her rifle, shoots out a chandelier, and essentially falls on them, knocking out the dynamic duo. We get to see where Andy comes in, and it's a little fourth wall break about the TV show and all that I find absolutely hilarious, and then the kid leaves. When that happens, one of them says, "Should we drill him where they stand?" But he says, "No, that's not sporting." We then cut to a scene where Batman and Robin are literally tied down in the middle of essentially a dirt road where he plans for the dynamic duo to be run over by a stampede of cattle. Shame and his men end up firing their guns, and the stampede is running towards Batman and Robin, about to run them over. And that's where we end this episode. The main cast here are pretty all good, all things considered. I like Batman and Robin's role here, and I do like the scenes we get with Alfred and Aunt Harriet. Alfred will play more of a bigger role in the story in the second part of this adventure, but he's so far pretty fun and entertainable. We get some funny moments with Bruce and Dick, which honestly I find to be absolutely hilarious when they go to like a woman's shop and they find it hard to explain what's written on the note. I find it absolutely hilarious. The one thing I have to point out is, why would Commissioner Gordon Chief O'Hara call Batman in for a simple matter of car theft, despite the fact that they described the person to be Shame, and by the sounds of it, Batman is really shocked to hear his name. And of course, once again, we are yet given another villain who has been established. Everyone knows about him except us. Speaking of this villain, Shame, played by Cliff Robertson. Now, if you see my top 10 Batman 66 villains, Shame was at number 9, and he's one of my absolute favorites. Now, I grew up on a lot of these old Western movies and TV shows, and old gangster movies and TV shows. So naturally, a character like Shame would be a great character for me to really enjoy. Now, the name Shame comes from the Western movie, a 1950s Western movie named Shane, where basically he comes to town, cleans it up, leaves, but the little boy yells, "Come back, Shane." And there is a reference to that in this episode, when the kid's always saying, "Come back, Shane," both in this episode and the second part. Now, Cliff Robertson was an actor known for his TV work roles and movie roles. Now, according to behind the scenes, he personally, when he was offered a role to play a villain on the show, he personally had a lot of input into creating the character. So essentially, this character was created solely by Cliff Robertson. And of course, more modern movie fans would know, modern comic book fans would know him, as he played Uncle Ben in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. So this is actually his first time playing in a superhero, essentially, form of media. Now, Shame is essentially, I love the design of it. It's very tough and intimidating, but has a bit of colorful and flairness, which I really love about the character Shame. He's also portrayed to be very, very tough, a little bit dim-witted dumb, and this would be more explicit in his appearances in Season 3, but he's also pretty smart enough to plan a caper. Though granted, doesn't take that much brain power because he is an old Western gunslinger. Shame pretty much plans his crimes around the Old West. Though it's pretty interesting that he's stealing parts to create a fast automobile car. I really enjoy the Shame character because there's a bunch of nods and references to Old West, not just movies, but also Old West characters, period, like Jesse James, Okiani, Annie Oakley, and hell, the final fight in this episode was a bar fight, or a saloon fight. It's all very fun and entertaining. Comeback Shame is, for me, I think, is a really good episode. It may be flawed. Now, I don't really see much flaws so far in this first part, but I really enjoy it and absolutely get a lot of fun out of it. And Shame is absolutely one of my favorite villains on the show, partly because of Cliff Robertson's performance. I really feel he's really, trying to really breathe life into this role, which I really love about it. And I don't think we could get that from any other actor given this role. Now, they were originally, apparently, rumors was they were going to give the Shame character a cowboy-themed role to Clint Eastwood, but they went with Cliff Robertson instead, and I personally felt it was a better choice, because he absolutely just nails it. And there we have it, Comeback Shame. A really great and fun and entertaining episode. Join us next time when we review the episode, It's How You Play the Game, the second part to this Shame adventure. So until next time, tune in for the same Steven Hour, the same Steven Chattel. Ladies and gentlemen, so long for now.